I was born and raised in Chicago. I went to the University of Illinois after going to a community college, and I'm an Air Force Academy dropout. Only way I got in there was I had a good jump shot. You can follow me at Twitter at Points and Figures. I blog at pointsandfigures.com. My claim to fame was I was a floor trader for a long time, and then I was elected to the CME Board of Directors, and I was one of the guys amongst a cadre of people to switch it from a nonprofit to a for-profit and go public. We were the first exchange in the United States to go public. It was the most successful public IPO other than Google in the 2000s. So you could have bought CME at $35 a share on the open. I think 5-to-1 split, it's probably over $1,000 a share or something like that now. After that, I started Hyde Park Angels. I got my MBA at the University of Chicago. There was no angel funding in Chicago at the time, really. It was a series of brokers, and we were the first organized angel capital to fund seed companies in the Midwest. It's a wildly successful organization now. I think they're the fourth busiest in the United States. Huge amounts of money has been invested over the course of the last 12 years, 10 years, 11 years, something like that. But my passion was always fintech. So I met this guy, he's 34 years old, is my partner. His name is Kenny Estes, and he was one of the first high-frequency traders at a company called GetGo, which was one of the first high-frequency trading firms. And the joke that we make with people is, you know, I was a pit trader and he put me out of a job. He's also younger than me, so he's going to last longer in the industry too. And so we invest in B2B startups in fintech. So one of the things, how many people here want to be a venture capitalist? Okay, you have the patience of Job, I hope. So where do successful investors invest? You hear about all these IPOs and all this stuff. One of my friends from high school started this company called Quicken. You might have heard of it. She did pretty well. Her husband was the CTO, she was the CMO, but they went through a lot to start this company. They pitched 35 VC firms and nobody would write a check. Yet they IPO'd maybe 6 or 7 years later. She has a nice house out in California now. Andreessen Horowitz, arguably one of the most successful recent firms, invests at seed and Series A. That's their investments where they concentrate their time, and the reason is the probability of success of owning a company at startup and exiting, owning a larger piece of that company, is higher at seed. That's where the value is created. So if you look at Facebook, which is a great company, if you think it's a great company, maybe it's not a great company, but the value in that business was created between seed and Series A. That's where the big money was made, not on the IPO. And so that's why people invest really early. They try to get a 10% ownership stake because you're going to get dilution of about 50, 60, 70% over time as more and more money is raised and more rounds come in. So what makes a good venture investment? This slide is stolen from Peter Thiel, who seems to be a pretty good investor. It's actually, if you have kind of a cool idea, but really seems like a stupid idea, you invest at the intersection of those. So if you think about Uber, hey, what if you could page a black car on your phone? That's kind of a cool idea, but that's really stupid. Nobody'd ever do that. Turns out it's a multi-billion-dollar company. If you invested $50,000 in the seed round, I think it's worth about $200 million today. So let's play a little game. These are some local startups, and this is kind of the little pitch on them. Company commoditizes structured credit. Who'd invest? That's Halo Investing, one of the largest fintech and fastest growing fintech firms in Chicago. They just raised a round. I can't tell you what the valuation was, but they will be a billion-dollar company within the next 5 years. What if I could borrow money online? That's Avant Credit, already a multi-billion-dollar company, started by my friend Al Goldstein, U of I alum. Company that helps online and mobile businesses accept credit card payments. Provides a little more transparency. My friends in my MBA class started that company, built it from scratch, bootstrapped it, sold it for $800 million to PayPal. 2007 to 2013. That's how long that company was in his hands. How about a company that improves the financial health of employees as a benefit, like an HR benefit? That's one of our companies. It's HobartFinancial.com. I urge you to go look at their website. Joe's a great guy, and he's changing people's lives. So these are the types of things that we see. These are the types of pitches that we get. So people look at things in the rearview mirror and say, yeah, sure, I would have invested in that. But when it's two guys or two women and they've got this idea and they say, you know what, I'm going to create this web browser that's 140 characters and people are going to microblog. Are you going to write a check? Are you going to write a $500,000 check? That's what we do. We write $500,000 to $700,000 checks, serve on the board, lead the deals, do the diligence, and then try to help these companies make it to the next level. It's all about your perspective. So people think I'm really tall until I stand next to these jamokes. So the guy on the left is Artis Gilmore, and the guy on the right is my friend Chris Gandy. Chris played in the NBA too. I did not, obviously. Artis is 7'4", and Chris is 6'9". I'm 6'5". People think I'm tall, but I'm like, you don't know tall, right? So what does Chicago have? We've got some seed funding, probably not enough seed funding, but we've got some seed funding. We've got some venture capital. We've got extremely talented people in the city. Amazing talent. The human capital pool, especially for fintech, is amazing. I saw a VC this morning tweet that he just learned what basis points meant. This guy's an experienced investor in the Valley. He didn't know what a basis point was. I'm like, I could go to a coffee shop in Chicago and talk to 20 people that know what a basis point is, and a half a basis point, and a half a BIP. I don't even have to call it a basis point. I can call it a BIP. Same in New York. So if you think about fintech, the best cities in the world to invest in are London, Chicago, and New York. You have conversations here that you cannot have anywhere else, especially when it comes to B2B fintech. In the Valley, they get the B2C stuff, the stuff that goes on your phone that you can talk about at cocktail parties, like a Snapchat. And isn't it cool that I can change my face and make a little older now? In Chicago, we deal with real business, revenues, stuff that moves money through the pipes. You know, and it comes from our DNA and our history. Chicago would not be here without the Board of Trade in 1848. Would not exist. St. Louis would be a bigger city than Chicago. The other thing we have here is Fortune 500 companies. If you take a drive 2 hours outside of the city of Chicago, I think you can hit the Fortune 1000. And then we've got some of the best universities in the world here. 2 of the best business schools. I'm partial to Booth because I got my MBA there, but Kellogg is a very fine school. U of I Engineering is maybe the top engineering school in the country. As a matter of fact, it built the internet. Silicon Valley would not exist without it. Purdue Engineering is fabulous. Indiana's business school is great. Wisconsin's got a great college. More CEOs come out of Wisconsin than any other college in the nation other than Harvard. More CFOs come out of Illinois than any other college in the United States. So the talent's here. We've got the culture and we've got the history. And we've got evidence of success. NEA is one of the top venture firms in the world. Peter Barris said yesterday that when he invests in Chicago, he gets a 10x return. Nowhere else can he say that. Nowhere else. And he's invested in some great firms here. He's co-invested in a firm I angel invested in called Catalytic, which is started by Sean Chow. Sean's last exit was Fieldglass, which exited for over $1 billion. And he's building a new firm here in Chicago because the talent pool is so good and the customer base is here. We've raised over $1.86 billion this year. In 2013, we raised $1 billion. In 2007, when Hyde Park Angels started, there was nothing. I was going into the top of apartment buildings, into people's apartments, listening to pitches. That's how bad it was. PitchBook ranked us as the #1 city in the United States for return on invested capital. That's kind of a big deal because it's easy to put money out and it's hard to get it back. The holding period for venture investments has gone from 5 to 7 years to more like 10 to 15, and you've got to get a return. So the stock market returns on average historically about 8%. With the risk that you're taking in venture capital and the liquidity premium that you're giving up because you can't get out of the investment, you got to get a great return. Steve Kaplan from the University of Chicago found that across the board, venture capital investing in the last 2 fund cycles has returned about 27%. The roadblocks to success in Chicago, because you get positives and negatives, it's a closed network. It's about who you know here. And that's historical. It's Patty Baller. You know, we don't want nobody that nobody sent. People are trying to open up the network in Chicago, but it's tough because you're dealing with 150 years of history. Fear of failure. In the Midwest, people are afraid to fail. One of the great things about the trading floor was you had risk takers there. And failure was just a part of everyday life. And so you learn to deal with it. And so you'll see a lot of traders go into investing like this or go into putting money into funds because they understand the game. But most Midwesterners are not like that. They have a tremendous aversion to failure. We have risk-averse corporate customers compared to the West Coast. So I walked to a bank in the West Coast and I said, what kind of deals do you want to see? And they said, seed deals, don't care if they have revenue. Walk into a bank in Chicago, what kind of deals do you want to see? We want to see, $1 million or $2 million top line revenue. Went into one big 5 bank in New York. If they don't have $10 million in top line revenue, don't come and talk to us. We need more money here. We've got the talent, we've got the firms, we've got the people, we've got the structure, we just need more money. There's just not enough money to put at risk here. So when you look at Chicago compared to New York, LA, or San Francisco, the difference in money that gets invested, like we did, $1 billion, San Francisco does that on one deal. I mean, they laugh at us. It's still flyover country to the people on the coasts. A group of Illinois business students that I know worked for a professor who passed away. His name was Paul Magelli, and Paul was just a tremendous, tremendous guy as far as startups and entrepreneurship. He's changed people's lives. I could talk about this all day long. And they found it was the violence keeping people out of Chicago, not the weather, which is kind of interesting. I think I screwed this up. There we go. Whoops, wrong way. So rules for success, you got to have top-line revenue growth. You build off Chicago's strengths. Our strengths are fintech and B2B businesses. Ways that trading's impacting Chicago. Jump, DRW, Peak 6, GetGo, CMT, Citadel, CTC all have investment arms that invest in some sort of startup activity. Jump and DRW are probably the most active. They supply tech talent. The best engineers in the world are in Chicago because they come here to trade. They come from all over, and they are incredibly brilliant. And one day they come up out of their cubicle and they say, I am sick of making code go faster. I'd like to start a company. And as high-frequency trading gets more and more competitive, the market gets more and more tighter. It gets tougher and tougher to make a trade and make money at trading, especially in low volatile markets, which they haven't had this year. They're spinning out and they're starting companies. They supply ideas, and they create hundreds and hundreds of jobs and opportunities for people. So I saw a stat where 0.2% of all investment capital available goes into venture capital, yet it creates 21% of the jobs, which is amazing. What about cryptocurrency? We have exchanges here that trade it. CBOE kind of gave up. Startup exchanges, ErisX, Bitnomial hasn't come out, SeedCX, and Open Finance is one we're invested in, and it's the first FINRA and SEC regulated exchange that has permission to trade securitized crypto in the United States. There is no other exchange that can do it. They're the only one. We get exchanges in Chicago. When I talk to Silicon Valley people and I say, you want to do an exchange, they show me their matching engine. In Chicago, they talk about clearing, settlement, compliance, regulation. They understand the back end. Cumberland Mining is here, and it's one of the largest crypto traders in the world. Jump Trading trades crypto. They are one of the largest traders in the world. Athena Bitcoin has this network of Athena Bitcoin ATMs. I was in Atlanta. There's one in the airport down there. Other opportunities: insurance, wealth management, risk management, financial health, regulatory efficiency. There's one of the things about finance is it is the most innovative industry in the world. There are so many markets that are dark that can be made transparent with a two-sided market, that efficiency can be brought to it, capital can flow, and standards of living can be raised by doing that. And you have so much opportunity to do that in finance. It's amazing. Why they're coming to Chicago and impacting it? Creating thousands of jobs, creating wealth, which we desperately need in this state and city right now, and increasing standards of living. So what can you do? Become a customer of a startup, even if it means taking a little risk. If you can make an introduction to a potential customer, top line revenue is everything. You can't go broke taking a profit. That's an old trading thing too. If you can mentor startups, do it, and do it for free. Talk about it with your friends. Invest in a local early stage VC fund if you can, or tell somebody else to do it if they can. And tell governments to support startups. And that's it. So thank you very much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
We read dozens of news sources so you only have to read one. John Lothian News.